October 7, 1777. Through swirling morning mist, General John Burgoyne stares at his starving army. Today's battle will either crush American rebellion forever or witness the birth of a new nation. History teeters on destiny's razor edge. Picture yourself as Benjamin Franklin in gilded Versailles, desperately begging French aristocrats for gold and soldiers. They sneer at your ragtag colonials. You need a miracle, concrete proof that Americans can actually defeat European professionals in open battle. 3,000 miles away, in Hudson Valley's ancient forests, that miracle takes deadly shape. Two armies circle like predators, each seeking the killing blow. One miscalculation will determine whether America lives as a nation or dies as a dream. Meet Gentleman Johnny Burgoyne, London's favorite playwright turned general. He earned fame directing comedies at Drury Lane Theatre. Now he scripts America's conquest, march south from Canada, capture Albany, strangle rebellion by controlling the Hudson River. What could go wrong? Everything. The American wilderness doesn't applaud British wit or bow to royal authority. Trees become snipers' nests. Rivers turn into moats defending rebel territory. Nature itself joins the Continental Army, transforming Burgoyne's simple invasion into a living nightmare. Daniel Morgan understands these forests like a lover's whisper. His Virginia riflemen move as ghosts between towering pines, each shot finding British hearts at impossible distances. They transform Burgoyne's orderly European advance into chaos and terror. You've never known fear until you've marched through dense American woods, knowing death waits behind every oak trunk. British soldiers whisper final prayers while invisible riflemen pick them off methodically, one crimson uniform at a time. Burgoyne's supply lines stretch across hundreds of hostile miles like a spider's fragile web. Every supply wagon becomes a target. Every messenger risks capture or death. His once mighty army slowly starves in the vast American wilderness. Meanwhile, American General Horatio Gates builds strength at Bemis Heights like a patient spider weaving destiny's web. Farmers abandon autumn harvest to join his swelling ranks. Each dawn brings fresh volunteers thirsting for British blood. But Gates faces an impossible choice that will haunt military historians forever. Attack immediately and risk everything on one desperate gamble, or wait cautiously while his citizen soldiers drift home to families before winter's cruel arrival. Benedict Arnold paces Gates's headquarters like a caged wolf, demanding immediate action against the trapped British. This brilliant wounded warrior watches victory slip away through his commander's maddening caution. Two generals, one fatal disagreement dividing American resolve. Picture the Continental camp on September's final evening. Campfires flicker like fallen stars across the valley. Soldiers clean muskets, write farewell letters to wives, pray to their Protestant God. Tomorrow brings either glory or unmarked graves. Dawn breaks blood red through autumn's dying leaves. Morning mist rises from the Hudson like the spirits of future martyrs. Both armies know this day will birth legends from ordinary men or bury dreams beneath American soil. The stage is set for empire's reckoning. In London, King George III expects dispatches confirming rebellion's death. In Versailles, French ministers await news of American surrender. Neither anticipates the earthquake coming from New York's forests. Freeman's farm erupts in gunfire as British columns stumble blindly into Morgan's carefully positioned riflemen. American marksmen target officers first, decapitating enemy command with surgical precision. Panic spreads through redcoat ranks like plague through London's slums. Private Timothy Murphy loads his Ferguson rifle with practiced calm. 400 yards distant, a British major rallies his scattered company. Murphy exhales slowly, finger caressing the trigger. The major crumples. One perfect shot changes everything forever. Burgoyne watches his disciplined European formations disintegrate into desperate clusters of terrified men. Continental tactics make mockery of Prussian drill manuals. The forest itself seems to fight against his invasion, every tree hiding American death. British grenadiers charge through choking gun smoke and screaming lead, bayonets glinting like silver lightning. These men conquered Europe with such valor. Yet American farmers refuse to break, reloading and firing with methodical, murderous precision. As darkness mercifully ends the first battle, Burgoyne tallies his losses with shaking hands. 700 casualties for gaining nothing but blood-soaked ground. His invincible army bleeds into American earth dropped by precious crimson drop. Gates forbids pursuit, choosing prudence over decisive victory. Arnold explodes in righteous fury, calling his superior a coward to his face. Their friendship shatters like crystal, personal ambition colliding with military caution behind American lines. Consider Burgoyne's impossible dilemma as October advances. Retreat means admitting catastrophic failure to His Majesty. Advance promises annihilation. Remaining means slow death by starvation. Every option leads toward disaster for British imperial dreams. 3 weeks of deadly stalemate follow like acts in a Greek tragedy. Burgoyne's men devour their horses, then tree roots, finally leather belts. Desertion spreads like cancer. The glorious invasion becomes desperate survival against American endurance. October 7th arrives like biblical Judgment Day. Burgoyne launches one final desperate assault, knowing failure means unconditional surrender. His remaining soldiers fix bayonets with trembling hands, marching toward probable death or impossible glory. Arnold disobeys Gates's direct orders, charging into battle astride his magnificent black stallion. British grapeshot shatters his leg, but his courage ignites American hearts. Sometimes heroes must choose between military obedience and national destiny. British artillery thunders across Bemis Heights as redcoats storm American earthworks with bayonets flashing. For precious moments, victory seems within Burgoyne's desperate grasp. Then Continental reinforcements pour over the ridgeline like an unstoppable human avalanche. Simon Fraser's elite Rangers, Britain's finest wilderness fighters, dissolve under concentrated rifle fire. Their beloved commander falls with Murphy's bullet piercing his brave heart. Even Burgoyne's best troops cannot withstand American marksmanship and righteous determination. Watch Burgoyne's world collapse in terrible real time. Officers dead, men fleeing, cannons captured, regimental colors abandoned in mud. His invasion dies beneath autumn sunlight, imperial dreams rotting among fallen leaves like corpses. That night, by flickering candlelight, Gentleman Johnny drafts surrender terms with a quill pen that trembles like his shattered confidence. His elegant script masks the magnitude of Britain's disaster. Every word admits Americans can defeat European professionals. October 17th, a date that will echo through centuries. 6,000 British soldiers lay down their arms before ragged Continentals. The civilized world gasps in stunned disbelief. Colonial farmers have captured an entire professional army. Gates accepts Burgoyne's ornate ceremonial sword with quiet dignity, befitting the moment's historic weight. No gloating, no theatrical speeches. Just one gentleman acknowledging another's courage while fundamentally changing human history through simple, respectful ceremony. But Saratoga's real victory unfolds 3,000 miles eastward in the glittering halls of Versailles Palace. King Louis XVI reads Franklin's dispatch describing British defeat. France finally sees concrete proof that Americans deserve French blood and treasure. Count Vergennes, France's calculating foreign minister, had waited years for precisely this moment. British humiliation in America means French revenge for past defeats. Ancient enemies can now wound each other through their colonial proxies. Franklin plays his diplomatic cards with consummate skill worthy of any European court. He hints at possible reconciliation with Britain while dangling lucrative American trade before hungry French merchants. Every European power suddenly courts rebellious colonists. February 6, 1778, another date carved in freedom's foundation. French and American diplomats signed their historic alliance in Versailles' secret chambers. Quill pens scratch across parchment, binding two nations against British tyranny worldwide. The momentous news reaches London like divine thunder from clear skies. Lord North staggers under its crushing implications. Fighting colonial rebels seem manageable. Facing France, Spain, and America simultaneously threatens Britain's survival as a power. In Philadelphia's candlelit rooms, Washington reads Gates's victory dispatch with rare emotion creasing his marble features. After years of retreat and defeat, his Continental Army has finally proven Americans can stand against Europe's finest. Continental soldiers celebrate around Valley Forge's smoky campfires, their spirits soaring despite physical suffering and approaching winter. Saratoga proves their sacrifices possess meaning. They're not dying for nothing. They're birthing a nation through sacred blood. British garrisons throughout occupied America suddenly peer over their shoulders with newfound nervousness. If Burgoyne's professionals could surrender to farmers, any redcoat force might face similar destruction. Confidence evaporates like morning mist. French warships begin crossing the Atlantic laden with gold, gunpowder, uniforms, and seasoned soldiers eager for British blood. Europe's oldest monarchy rushes to aid history's newest republic against their mutual enemy with unprecedented enthusiasm. Marie Antoinette, destined to lose her head to revolution's blade, now funds American revolutionaries with royal gold. History's irony drips like blood through time's twisted corridors. Today's allies become tomorrow's cautionary tales. Spanish governors in New Orleans quietly funnel military supplies up the Mississippi River toward American forces fighting for independence. Britain's enemies emerge from every shadow, sensing imperial weakness after Burgoyne's spectacular failure. Native American tribes reconsider their British alliances after witnessing professional European soldiers surrender to colonial farmers with rifles. If mighty redcoats can be defeated, perhaps accommodation with Americans offers better survival. Burgoyne returns to London in complete disgrace, facing parliamentary inquiry into his catastrophic defeat in America's wilderness. Military careers end in committee rooms where politicians dissect battlefield disasters with perfect hindsight. Arnold's shattered leg heals slowly, but his wounded ego festers faster than infected battlefield wounds. Gates receives congressional praise while Arnold faces suspicion despite his heroics. Resentment plants seeds for future betrayal. Think about history's butterfly effect rippling through time. One accurate rifle shot kills a British officer. That death demoralizes his men. Their retreat triggers complete collapse. Destiny turns on individual actions. European newspapers trumpet American victory across the continent from London to St. Petersburg. Coffeehouse patrons debate colonial warfare with newfound respect. Saratoga proves professional armies can fall before citizen soldiers. British merchants watch their profitable American trade evaporate as French warships challenge Royal Navy supremacy on the Atlantic. Economic warfare replaces military conquest as the primary battleground between competing European empires. Hudson Valley farmers who fed Gates's army return to their fields, forever changed by witnessing empire's death. They've seen history collide in their backyards. Their grandchildren will treasure these stories for generations. Saratoga becomes more than a military victory. It transforms human consciousness itself. Common people can challenge kings successfully. Professional armies can surrender to citizen soldiers. Everything previously impossible becomes achievable through determination. Fast forward to Yorktown, 4 years later. French cannons thunder alongside American artillery, battering Cornwallis into final submission. Saratoga's diplomatic fruit ripens into British surrender and complete American independence through the French alliance. But victory carries unexpected costs that will haunt France. French bankruptcy from supporting American independence triggers their own bloody revolution. The monarchy that saved America's republic dies in revolutionary flames. Washington becomes president of the nation that Saratoga made possible through blood and French gold. He walks carefully through the federal capital that wouldn't exist without Gates's victory and Arnold's battlefield courage. Benedict Arnold, forgotten hero of Saratoga, dies bitter and alone in London, serving the empire he once fought. Glory and infamy often wear identical faces in history's cruel, unforgiving mirror. Today, granite monuments mark where Burgoyne surrendered his sword to Gates on that fateful October afternoon. Modern tourists walk battlefields where empires collided and republics were born through blood, courage, and diplomatic brilliance. School children learn about Saratoga in classrooms worldwide, though few grasp its true significance. This wasn't merely Americans defeating the British. It proved common people could challenge any authority through unified determination and sacrifice. The Hudson River still flows past Bemis Heights, carrying waters that witnessed empire's death and liberty's birth. Rivers remember longer than humans, holding secrets of battles fought for principles. Picture Franklin reading Saratoga's news in his modest Parisian apartment. Tears stream down his weathered cheeks, not from joy, but from relief that his desperate diplomatic gamble finally paid off through others' sacrifices. Every American democracy since traces its legitimacy back to farmers who stood their ground against professional soldiers at Freeman's farm. Ordinary people accomplished extraordinary things when history demanded heroism from unexpected sources. Burgoyne's surrender ceremony lasted 2 hours. The British Empire's decline took 2 centuries. But both began on that October afternoon when a gentleman general acknowledged defeat to colonial rebels. What if Burgoyne had won instead? No French alliance, no American independence, no inspiration for democratic revolutions worldwide. Monarchy would remain unchallenged everywhere. Common people would stay silent subjects rather than active citizens. But he didn't win. Farmers defeated generals. Colonists captured professionals. Rebels became revolutionaries. The impossible became inevitable because ordinary people refused to accept powerlessness against traditional authority structures. Saratoga's true victory wasn't military, it was a psychological transformation. Proving established power could be challenged, professional armies defeated, common people possessed inherent dignity worth fighting and dying for against tyranny. Look around you today at democratic institutions everywhere. Every constitution, every Bill of Rights traces its ancestry back to that Hudson Valley battlefield where Americans first proved liberty was worth any sacrifice. The shot heard round the world echoed at Lexington's bridge. But the victory that truly changed human history happened at Saratoga, where farmers became heroes and rebels became founders of free nations everywhere.